Do you ever feel like you're completely overwhelmed by like a massive project or a super tough problem or an ambitious goal that you have? Like you sit down to start and you either freeze because you don't know where to begin, or your ADHD brain's bouncing around to different things and you just, after the end of the session of work, you don't have much to show for it. The key of overwhelm is simple: to break things down into small, manageable pieces. So in this video, we're going to show why this works, how to do it effectively, and even the science behind why your brain actually prefers this approach. And I bring this up because I have struggled with this myself. I'm a software developer and it requires you to work on a lot of different complex tasks. And I would get stuck on one of them, bounce around to something else I'm supposed to work on, get stuck on that, and then just quickly feel overwhelmed and not having much to show for it. So I did some research on how to handle these kind of complex tasks, but I'll explain more of how I use it in my job after we kind of explain the main points that you can apply to anything in your life. So the first point is chunking, and that's kind of like the power of breaking things down. So I love analogies, so bear with me. Imagine you're trying to eat an entire pizza in one bite. I mean, obviously that's ridiculous, but that's often what we try to do when we tackle a big task all at once. I mean, it's just simply impossible. You can't eat a whole freaking pizza, you know? So what do? We break it into slices. Now, all of a sudden, it's much more manageable. And even then, we don't just stuff the entire slice of pizza down our throat. We take small bites. And that's exactly how you should approach these tasks or goals. So break first into slices, break your goal or whatever into sections, then break each section or slice into bites. And those are your tiny little actionable steps. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we break it into very finite, small pieces, is that there's something called the cognitive load theory. And that's basically that our brains have a limited amount of mental space to work on things at any given time. So cognitive load theory, what is cognitive load? It's the amount of mental effort being used in your working memory at any moment, kind of like a RAM's computer. Your brain can only handle a few things at once. If you overload it, just like when you have too many tabs open on Chrome or whatever, it slows down and it has a hard time processing new things. So breaking down into smaller chunks, you reduce the load on your brain, making it easier to focus and complete your tasks. So how would this look? So say we have a paper we want to work on. That's the whole pizza. That's the whole goal. First, we would break it into slices. What are the major sections we could work on? Well, maybe the first slice would be research. Slice number 2 would be write the first draft. Slice 3 would be editing the first draft. Now, in those 3 examples of slices, put those into bites. Slice 1, that research slice, what would be the first bite? Let's just find 3 sources. Bite 2, take some notes. Okay, those are some examples. Slice 2 would be, when you write your draft, maybe write an outline first. Then bite 2 would be write the intro. And so you can kind of see how when you break it down into these little steps, it's way less overwhelming. Now let's just do one more example for fitness. You want to get in shape. Slice 1, let's say you have 2 days to work out. Slice 1 is Monday, slice 2 is Wednesday. So bite 1 would be 15 minutes of walking. Bite 2, 15 minutes of running. Wednesday, you do strength training. Bite 1 is do, 3 sets of squats. Bite 2, do some bench press. Now that we understand that breaking things down into smaller pieces is a much more easy and less stressful way to get things done, here's another kind of concept you can leverage to keep you motivated while you're using this chunking principle. When you're watching a TV show and you're really hooked, and at the end of the episode, like they always do, they leave it on a cliffhanger, and it's like, oh shit, they're making me want to watch the next one. They always do it. They're doing that on purpose. And there's something called I'm going to butcher this name, Zeigarnik Effect. Zeigarnik. The Zeigarnik Effect, which is a psychological phenomenon where unfinished tasks stick in our minds more than completed ones. Our brains are designed to not like loose ends, so they keep thinking about these things until they are finished. And a real world example is, say that at work or whatever, you have to write an email to someone and you get interrupted. And you're interrupted and on to other things for the rest of the day, so that unfinished email keep popping up in your head. But all the emails that say that you did earlier that were finished, you don't think about them at all. That's the Zeigarnik effect. So the way we can use this for our tasks or our goals is that we can, when we break things down into smaller, pieces, leave something unfinished. Make it so that the next little bite is clear and that you have it right there ready to go, so that it's unfinished. Your mind's like, ooh, I know what I want to do next, which will more than likely keep momentum going. So I think that is something that's kind of helpful. And there's actually Ernest Hemingway. I haven't read his books, but I know he's a famous writer. Apparently, he would write, when he was writing, he would stop mid-sentence so that when he came back, he was like eager to get back into it. So the third point is kind of what I want to show my personal way of doing this. And I use, with these methods that we just talked about, I use my what's next list, which means is I write down my slices. I write down for my work, I'll say, okay, I need to work on the user interface, I need to work on the server code, and then I need to work on the database code. So those are like my slices I need to do for whatever I'm working on. And then within that, I'll write, okay, I need to write this function. Okay, I need to make this button. Okay, I need to do this. And so using those principles, I just go down the list one at a time, being mindful and just staying focused on that one thing until I'm ready for the next one. And then I'll take a break. Say I usually work in 30-minute intervals to give my brain a little bit to recharge. And then I highlight what task I'm on. So I use that kind of Zeigarnik effect of, okay, this is what I'm coming back to. Now we know the science behind why things kind of get overwhelmed and scary and that make us want to crawl in a hole. It's all because we're just kind of overloading our mental computer. So right now I want you to think about what is something that in your life is seemingly too big or too overwhelming, whatever that thing may be. How can we break it into sections? How can we break it into bites that you can take action on today? Just one baby step at a time, one bite at a time. And that's how all progress is done. Just one step, one bite at a time. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed a little bit. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.